What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Broc.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Broc. And once again, we're joined by the creator of Champions of the Galaxy, Mr. Tom Filsinger. How you doing, Tom?
Oh, fantastic and good to see you guys again.
Tonight, we're talking about Revolution 2097. So get in your Wayback Machine, Tom. 30 years ago, you came up with this stuff.
Well, this was an interesting time period for transitional artists because this is the last Snelly edition. And then in 2098, we get the one-shot Mike Gustovich one.
Yep.
Fan favorite Mike Gustovich one.
Yeah. Well, those were the days when it was before the internet was really a thing. And to find artists was just a lot harder.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's much easier. And you had to do what you could.
He's a well-known artist. He's done some good stuff.
We went
Gustovich?
Mm-hmm. Justice Machine.
Well, he was a good guy, but I like to work with people who have enthusiasm for what we're doing. And Mike really wasn't in that category. It was a payday to him.
Yeah.
And so I had to tell him everything. And that'll reflect on what we're going to talk about with 2097, because Larry Snelly, on the other hand, brought ideas to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right.
So we can start off with the order that we normally introduce a set. So it would have been, if I come back, Defender and Wildcat. Defender of the Realm and Wildcat would be the first two we talk about. So we can start with Defender.
Well, why don't you introduce that character and then I'll take off from that.
So Defender was, arguably one of the most popular characters in Mad Jester. People love that guy.
Right.
And then he, goes under his split personality change and becomes a defender of the realm, switches sides, becomes a hero, whole different outlook and how he even wrestles. And it was quite the drop in stats and ability and fan love for the guy. He just kind of dropped off the board for a lot of fans.
Yeah, I don't remember why.
No.
I just don't. Probably a need. Well, I must have thought the character needed to be revitalized in some way, and maybe it fit a storyline. I just don't. What did he do when he changed from Defender to Defender?
He became a good guy, teamed up with trying to remember, I think didn't Exo King and Killer Queen also turn?
So he was right. It was part of a kind of a royal court. He was still part of a royal court theme then?
Yeah, and I guess they went against like Bishop Hell and Count Necros.
But he turned good?
Yeah.
Defender? Well, okay. Yeah, right. I just couldn't picture, I guess, and I'm even guessing myself. I don't think I pictured the Mad Jester being a hero as he was. That's probably what led to that.
That does make sense because Jester was a little bit crazy.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I'm conducting the interview here. So, was Defender of the Realm the last image this character had?
No, he went back to Mad Jester in 2101.
Oh, well, see, there you go. I must have been feeling that was the better way to go with him, just as fans did.
Yeah. And then Wildcat was an interesting guy. Great art.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're showing me the art. That helps me. Now he came in to, I'm guessing, to be a member of the Space Croppers group.
That is correct.
Yeah. I guess I just felt like they needed a new member.
And on him, is that his +4 finisher card?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he was this really horrible wrestler who had a chance to hit a +4 finisher to win a match.
Wow. I love doing stuff like that.
And the move didn't always work either.
It was a 50-50 shot, even or odd.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So he was a true upset master.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 4 total downs on his card. He has a low pin though. He's a pin 5-2, but
4 downs. What was his pin?
5-2.
Oh. And it was he got 3 downs on level 3 and 1 down on 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
his all of his charts are C rating except for turnbuckle. He had a B.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, excuse me. You know what's happening in 2139 is somewhat similar in that I don't know if it's similar. Wildcat makes it a little similar, actually, only him. Um, you know, there's a lot of mid-card guys that got cards and the spotlight, and that makes 2139 kind of unique. And I've called it a game fans game because I thought the true fans will really appreciate what I'm trying to do here. You know, you have that problem as you know, what are we? God, 53 editions? My God. You know, that phenomenon of power creep, which we have succumbed to, but I'm trying to keep it under control,
Mm-hmm.
is hard to avoid because there's always pressure every set to come up with at least a couple people that are huge, big, you know, main eventers. And if you keep doing that every game edition, you totally you're raising the bar constantly on these people, and it's I think it's to the detriment to the game in the long run.
On our shows, we talk about how we would power creep every wrestler we show.
Could change
So,
one stat.
so you can change one thing on everybody's card.
Wow, that's interesting.
So we've done that. So like Wildcat, I think I removed it down, or you make it so the finisher is always going to be a hit.
Oh,
So we
oh
just
wow,
try to
that's interesting.
so we just try to power creep and change each
Now,
guy.
if you're only played up to 2097, then the issue, you know, is not as big an issue.
No.
But anyway,
But
yes.
when you hit somebody like Chaos, you're like, hey, how would you power creep Chaos?
I know.
You can't.
Well, you know, when I created Apex about a year ago, you know, he was built to be a monster, but you know, how do you improve him in 3 or 4 years? You know,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why he's very, very good, but he's not unstoppably good. With the foil version, I made him just a teensy bit better, barely noticeable, but at least it made the foil version slightly different from the version last year. Yeah, he's my champion.
Just visual reference. If you haven't bought it yet, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Well, you know, and it fits I'm sorry, I'm talking about 2139, which,
It's all
like I
good.
said, is very fresh on my mind. Go on, I'll let you guys run now.
So we can slip into superiority complex.
Yes. And that is could you name the 2 people again?
Skinhead and Prodigy.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, you know, you just always want to create some new wow, you know, those are good drawings.
I the skinhead drawing is one of my favorite in the game. I just liked it.
Huh.
The shadow work.
Yeah. And then even the Prodigy with the I know I asked him to put him on a vehicle, but you know, Larry had just great talent. You know, there's no question about it. You know, you're always, you know, I don't know what I was thinking exactly at that time, but you always want to be creating new tag teams. and I liked the expression superiority complex as a play on inferiority complex. So all I can. Who did they feud with in this set?
I forget. Let me see.
It's tough for me because I never played the storyline.
Oh,
So
right, right.
they're with the
Boo.
Citadel.
Oh, I'm out of
They're,
focus.
yeah, they're
There we
with the Citadel, so they're fighting somebody in the FDF, probably.
Right. Well, anyway, yeah, you just want to create new tag teams. You want them to fit the stories, and you
Um,
want them to be good and to catch on.
Now the art for Snelly, and I thought it was cool because they're two different guys, but he also did two different styles. Like Prodigy looks like almost a Timothy Bradstreet style.
I don't know who that is.
He did a lot of fantasy game stuff, and he's done some comic book covers. And then he
And
did pencil shadings with Skinhead.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's the same artist, but you'd almost not know.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's true. And Prodigy actually bears a resemblance to what Bendis might have done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Now, one of the questions, that people have brought up in the past is with Skinhead's name. Some people were really actually upset at that name. We've even had, people talk about on the show where they won't use that wrestler.
Now, you're talking about currently or back then?
Back then, but some people even when they're replaying it won't use Skinhead because of the name Skinhead.
Well, that's their right.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're creating a villain, the point is they're supposed to be a villain.
Yeah.
It's like you can't do a character like the Iron Sheik anymore in the WWE. These ideas of what's acceptable and unacceptable shift over time.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in a very, very sensitive time.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Like I've never had a problem. I understood, Skinhead was a bad guy and it fit the name perfect. And he was with the Citadel, the Elite. So instead of just being racist towards one thing, I just figure he's assuming he's better than everyone else.
Yeah, I don't remember having any issues at all come to my attention back then. So this is the first time I've ever heard it.
Yeah. No, we've had now people that because newer players or older players are redoing the storylines and haven't used these guys in 25 years, and they come across and they're like, "Oh, I forgot about that."
Yeah.
Right,
It's just
right.
culture's different now.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that.
And these guys reminded me of like the Rock and Roll Express because a lot of your tag teams you'd have a fast guy or a strong guy or two strong guys, but this one you had a very dominant tag team and they were both fast. -4,
Thank you for
-3.
mentioning that. Thank you, because sometimes I would try to play one partner off the other, one powerful, the other one, like you say, agile. But sometimes you want to have them be like currently the Castellix tag team of Moog and Sentinel are just both big bruiser types. So yeah, I'm glad that I did it that way for that team, two agile guys. How long did they last in the GWF? Do you remember?
In 2105, Prodigy becomes a singles wrestler.
Oh,
so they have a good run.
Good.
Skinhead was around till 2114.
Wow.
Yeah, he got a new card in 2110. So he had a really long career.
Was he singles most of that time?
I think so.
And he was in the GWF that whole time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that is interesting to me.
And Prodigy, you made a straight up singles guy because he used to have a tag finisher called the Perfect Tag Finisher, and then he got the Perfect Singles Finisher.
Good.
You got to stick with the theme.
Yeah.
Yep. and then if we slip over to our managers, so we got two managers here.
Yeah.
Morpheus and Kraken.
Yeah, wow. Was I'll say it the way I usually say it. And everybody, the Kraken thing. Was this the Kraken that was floating in a device? No. Oh wow, you know that. Oh, that's the Hitman image,
Yeah.
Hmm.
which Mike joined that team. Uh, wow.
That's a great piece of art.
Oh yeah,
So much detail on that.
yeah, yeah. Okay, and then Morpheus. You know, this might have been around the time that my God, that looks like Bendis again.
Yeah.
The
Trying
thing
to
we
get
joke about with Morpheus is he's got a 5 distractor, which is even worse than the regular ringside companions.
it.
Was this around the time that Classics was released, and so we wanted to revisit some of these people?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And he only has a 5. Well, that's another thing that has creeped is
Yeah.
distractor ratings too. What are you going to do? You know, I think to some extent it makes some sense, but at the same time, yeah, that's interesting. At that time, it seemed like a 5 was kind of like average, but well, a 5 would be a distractor rating for a wrestler that was outside the ring, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Morpheus was no better than that. Well, maybe I just figured he was older and he was just not able to. Who did he manage?
The Citadel, Chaos and Matador and Janus and Superiority Complex.
Hmm.
We said they
Oh,
really
yeah,
didn't need
good.
any help.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, I cannot answer the question for why 5 at this point.
Would you add anything to the backs if they came out now?
Definitely. That became something that is automatic now.
Hmm.
I
I
would
think it's
like
pretty cool.
to I would like to know who's the first manager who had a back of a card with instructions.
I'm sure someone
Um,
will tell us in the comments.
Yeah,
I did
that'll
one
be.
for the NGO,
Hmm.
and that was 95, I think, 96.
Mm.
So it was before any GWF wrestler had it.
Okay.
That's probably something we can figure out pretty easily.
What?
Wait, who had the first one on the back?
for
Mm.
for GWF guys.
Yeah,
What was Kraken's distractor?
6.
Six.
It wasn't much
Yeah,
better.
see, that makes sense. Well, that's another thing I figured in those days more than today. Maybe not. And that is that the good guy, no, he was a bad guy. Forget it.
Yeah.
I take it back. Okay.
With Morpheus, I think it's just like he would very rarely need to get involved, I would think, with who he was
Yeah.
managing.
I think I was trying to emphasize that he was beyond the point where he was good at that, but that was probably my reasoning at the time.
Hmm.
It was just one of
Well, I
those
would
things.
have loved to have had these discussions, you know, back after each edition was released. I would have found it very enjoyable.
If Mike and I were current, we could do that, but
Well, we've got other people covering
there we go.
that.
And
Okay, yeah,
next we can slip into Gemini and Dynamo,
yeah.
or
Well,
you'd know him as also Mr. Galaxy and Vlad Hammer.
mm. Now you had asked me why Vlad Hammer had gone through several changes,
Yep,
and what number card is this for him?
number 2.
And then there were a few more then.
Yeah, he becomes just Hammer.
Hmm. Well, you know, again, I can't remember why, but you know, whenever I thought a character was getting stale or could use an upgrade, I would do it. Um, that's the only thing I can think of right now.
Yeah, because that was the one thing. You have some characters that people so desperately wanted an upgrade on, like Iron Maid or Matador or something like that. And then you have somebody like Vlad Hammer who gets 3.
He's
Yeah.
had
Well, you know what though? The ones that really work, you're reluctant to
Yeah,
upgrade them quickly. The ones that don't, and I base a lot of what I do on my own fed when I'm playing and feeling like, gosh, this character doesn't really fit in or doesn't really do anything based on, you know, my playing. and that enters my thinking on these things. That's what happens when you've got a game creator who actually plays the game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, he's had 4 cards and had a different name on each card.
Oh yeah, what are
Vlad
they?
Hammer, Vlad
Uh-huh.
Hammer in 91,
Uh-huh.
Gemini in 97, and 2104 just became Hammer, so I guess that's similar. And then he was Molotov in 2113. So
Now, what was that? GWF?
that was CPC.
Right. Okay.
So yeah,
And
I imagine.
Molotov is like a Russian word, so or
Well,
Ukrainian word. So he was going back to his
roots. Yeah.
his
That makes
root.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
All right,
Okay, yeah. Was our last two are the big guys,
U.S.
U.S.
Patriot
Patriot
Oh yeah.
and Holocaust.
and Holocaust. Whoop. Okay, there we go. I'm in frame now. And focused. No. I was doing so well.
We'll start off with Patriot.
All right, we'll go one at a time here. That'll help.
Was he well was who was he before this?
Atom Blast. This is his third card.
Oh, fascinating.
So
Okay.
he had the skinny Atom Blast card, and then he had the one where he looked like Brian Bosworth.
So he had two of those?
Yeah, he had two Atom Blasts, so it looks like he put on about 50 pounds. Hit the juice
Yeah.
hard.
Then he slimmed back down.
You know, that was such an important, it seemed anyway, motif to have an All-American in this game. And I can't remember why storyline wise it happened, but Larry delivered a very, dynamic drawing of him. Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it is. It's a really nice, I told him make it an All-American Captain America-ish pose, and let's give some of the fans what they want here, and that is a hero, All-American hero.
And if Chaos and Matador and guys, weren't in the promotion, I think he would have won more heavyweight titles. His card's good.
Mm-hmm. It's very good.
Like he's got two finishers. It's a 0+2, so that can add up quick. He puts you down 3 times.
I find
down in a pin.
I find when I'm playing, and when we played a tournament in Las Vegas last week, it seems like you always want the people with double finishers over somebody with one big finisher.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I would feel, that you could really keep somebody going if
oh yeah, you're throwing this piling those tokens on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about this game in the past on the reasonings. Like we talked about, I probably won about 40 tournaments at the GWF, like in all the different Galacticons, and why I still win. And I'm like, because I have all the numbers in my head, I have all the percentages. So I look at a guy and I'm like, he's got choice H. What's his rating? ABC. This, and I just know to take it.
Wow.
Or turnbuckle this, and so I'm always playing the odds, and so I rarely do I miss it, and I'll watch Broc on stream, and Broc's like, I'm doing this. I'm like, no.
I'm playing against myself.
Well, you're like the poker player who's counting everything that's on the table and trying to figure out the odds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you got a 1 in 6 chance on a finisher, even if it's a big finisher, but it's still 1 in 6 chance. But if I got 2, then I roughly, I increase those odds to 33%.
Right.
To hit a finisher before it's something like 18%. So I'm doubling the odds.
Yeah, in the worst cases, you're adding a fatigue token. So makes it easier to win later on.
Well, with Apex, I tried to work with that by giving a person a chance to roll again on level 3. On 4 and rolls of 4 and 5, you have a choice to roll again, but then you have to live with it no matter what it is. So they increased it a little bit, the odds of getting that plus, I think it's +5.
Wow.
Excuse me, finisher.
Yeah, so he's and even though I'm Canadian and everything, I never minded the pro-American guys. Like Commander Sam, I was a fan of Commander Sam. I liked him. He was the aging veteran when he came in, so that's what got a lot of people behind him.
Hmm.
And then to have his protege come along and slowly take his place, I thought that was a fantastic storyline.
Mm-mm. Yeah. And yeah, well, you know, I I don't know whether I had this tag team before or after this, but I know I had a tag team that tried to present the positive side of American patriotism and the dark side of it. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
Stars and Stripes.
Yeah, who were the members?
Oh, American guy and
I would say
That's
American
it.
guy.
U.S. male.
American guy was sort of that beer swilling, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was.
Brawler. And then the other one was a totally clean, athletic one. So yeah, anyway, US Patriot was designed to be a solid, American hero type.
I think American guy's also from Ohio. So
Was he listed as from Ohio?
I think so.
Ah,
One of them
And
was.
you
I
you
think it
had him
was him.
marry Sweet Thing, who became Miss Liberty.
yeah. Well, that's good. I never really, I was really eager to change that. I never liked that character a lot as Sweet Thing. So I was glad to give her an update.
And then the final guy,
Hmm.
Holocaust,
Yeah.
who he's one of the more interesting alien type guys in the game. People always go on about his hair.
Is it
Well,
hair or is it fire?
yeah, I would say energy of some kind. And in these days, like I said, Larry Snelly was really into it, and he would send me ideas, sketches of just tons of characters, and and this was one of them, and I liked it. I thought I could work with it, and so we did it.
And,
So,
and people talk about, oh, he's got a nuclear warhead on his arm, and I'm like, to me, that's no worse than like when Vader would come with his big helmet.
Yeah.
That really, it's just part of his wrestling gimmick.
this is
I
part of his
don't,
anatomy.
well, I don't know what I said at the time. I've always been cognizant of people, wrestlers having some blatant advantage. I don't know if I said this or didn't say it, but I would assume he'd have to take that off when he wrestles.
Now, I did a bad guy version of Holocaust,
I have that right here.
also from the same planet. I
Uh-huh.
I really enjoyed this guy, so that's a guy I made, and he's still got the thing. He's called Nuclear Chaos.
Chaos, huh?
Nuclear Chaos.
Yeah, yeah. Any relation to or any correspondence with Chaos, the character?
No,
Oh, okay.
but he's from the same planet as Holocaust,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Okay.
so because I made a whole like um uh basically I took their whole planet.
Like a caste system.
Yeah, so they have a caste system basically
Hmm.
on wrestling,
Oh, yeah.
and the ring is the one place where everyone's equal, because everyone on the planet isn't equal, because they have a caste system,
Yeah.
and so that's how. And when you're born into your system, it goes on your color
Hmm.
that you're born into. So you don't know what you're going to be, but if you're born that color, this is what you're going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's just something different that I had thought of, and that's what I did with them. I'm like, yeah, what if we did this and this, and because I just thought they were neat guys, but we only ever had one.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't comment on that.
Yeah, but for me, Holocaust, and I still use him to this day. Because you don't know how long he'll last. He lasts quite a long time in the game. I think he
Hmm.
retires in like 2115 or something like that.
Did he get another card then?
No.
Oh,
He
Oh
got
yeah, yeah, he did.
Oh,
2115. He got one, a CPC card.
And then he left? Oh, that was a CPC card, you
Yeah,
said?
then he ended up in ACE to finish his career, it looks like.
Yeah, he stayed in there quite a while.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
I
one of those
wonder.
things. He's an alien. How does he age?
Well, there you go with that again.
Does
Uh,
he age?
yeah, I mean, there's really no
No,
that
you don't know.
definite rule. The only thing that's important to me is that some of these characters age somehow.
Yep.
Because if everybody just stays great, again, you got that problem, you know. So you've got to get some people out, and that's what even
I just figured some of them just get bored. Like,
some of the wrestlers.
you've been with a job for 30 years. I'm leaving. I got other stuff to do in my life.
Well, I agree with that. There are people who say maybe there'll come a time where humans can live forever. I think that would drive people crazy.
Hmm.
There are people who get bored on a rainy Sunday afternoon. What about having that for eternity?
Yep.
So,
There's
right.
there's a video going around. It's kind of viral right now. It's this old woman in a nursing home. It's her 104th birthday, and her family's coming to visit, and they're throwing a party for her. And they had the news there, and like, "Are you excited for your birthday party?" And she goes, "Not one bit."
Yeah, I've had 104 of them.
Exactly.
Nothing new. There was a story, a true story. A married couple got divorced when they were like 95.
Oh,
They
just
waited
because she
till
found
they
out
were
she had an affair?
no.
Oh,
They weren't getting along for a long time. They said we wanted to wait for our kids to die before we did it. And their kids did, they died maybe in their 70s.
Oh wow. Hey,
that,
they give them credit. They kept it together for the
Yeah,
kids.
they did that for their kids.
I saw an old Italian couple. He was 98, she was 97, and he found out that she had an affair like when she was 20. So like
Oh
70
my.
years ago. And he's like,
Wow.
yep, divorced.
Wow. Wow. Boy, that's
80 years
really,
later, dude.
boy, yeah, yeah. Amazing.
Hey, he lost that trust.
Yeah, right. And people.
Yeah. So walking away from wrestling doesn't seem that odd.
No.
Well,
After those
we've
stories,
got vampires in the game, and vampires allegedly don't age.
Yep.
And so
right?
they just have to leave and come. There's that thing I was talking about. They're not going to do this forever. They would maybe find that boring. They're going to go away a while and then come back like Necros might. Coven Black, we don't know where he is.
You have Lance Atlas, he's a Martian. You already said
Yeah,
he's a few hundred years old, and Infinity and Infinity Plex live for like 800 years or something like that.
yeah,
Science fiction, folks.
yeah. Science fiction, and yet, like I said, there has to be some pretense of aging to keep people moving along.
That is the unique challenge you have, is that your game takes place in real time, pretty much. Like every year is a year in time has passed. So,
Well, it's a challenge and a blessing.
mhm.
Since we are a combination of comics and sci-fi, we can pull from either of them. The game has kind of had a wrestling mentality infused with these science fiction themes. And I think it's worked well. Uh, in other words, if these characters all didn't age, there'd be no point in creating new ones. And so we have to move them along. We have to come up with a reason.
Mhm.
Wolf is one of them that's sort of like a trademark character, like Champions of the Galaxy's Superman
Yeah,
or Spider-Man for their companies. Wolf
right.
is sort of that for this game. And I don't ever want him to be gone forever. But he you never know when he pops back, and so
Mhm.
that's the excitement for people who like Wolf.
And
Ye- Go ahead. Go ahead. I was just going to say that every franchise needs that character that is the face of the brand. So,
yep.
Yeah. This is what I like about talking with you guys. I might not be able to remember the details of some things, but I like talking about the philosophy of the game where it, you know, is appropriate.
Hmm.
And then switching gears one more time, you just got back from a trip to the CAC, the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know what's great is that our status in the industry is continuing to grow. You guys have been there the whole time. You remember when we were nothing. We were just a black and white game years ago that nobody in the wrestling industry really knew. Now
Hmm.
we are very much a part of it. And excuse me. I think I caught something when I was in Vegas too, by the way.
Uh-oh.
And I went to Fremont Street. Do you know that street? Which is basically Gotham City at night.
Uh-oh.
Well, Fremont is actually Las Vegas. Most of it's not in Las Vegas.
Most of what?
Most of Las Vegas isn't Las Vegas.
Mhm.
Fremont Street's actually in Vegas is actually small. It's the
Yeah.
stuff around it that people
Mm.
call Vegas isn't Vegas.
Yeah, well, I was right there in the heart of it. And I enjoyed it. You know, I posted at least one picture. There was a bar that was amazing called The Nerd. I don't know if you saw anything I posted. This bar not only had really cool sci-fi, wrestling, comic memorabilia, but they all actually had a ring in the bar.
Oh yeah.
And I watched an indie show, and it was pretty amazing because it's super intimate because you're right on top of it automatically.
Hmm.
And the owner knew me immediately. See, that's what I'm saying. The owner knew me immediately and was like, I forgot my ID. I always do that because I keep thinking I live in a world where somebody over 60 obviously can go into a bar. But they have these rules now. I mean, it's like, I don't get that. So I was talking it over because then I would have had to walk back to the hotel room and walk again. And I was talking to him, and the owner came out and said, Tom Filsinger, come on in. And he was a great host. And so we're talking about some potential projects in the
Oh,
future
nice.
too. Hmm. Well, he not only books these wrestling shows, but he himself does. Oh, and he's a good friend of Sabu. So, he's well connected to the wrestlers that live in Las Vegas.
Hmm. Good resource to have for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw a picture of you and the most controversial man in wrestling at the moment at Las Vegas this past weekend.
This was CM
Now, did
Punk.
all that controversy follow that?
Yes.
Now, I don't follow some of these things. What's the controversy?
A backstage altercation between CM Punk, Tony Khan, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry led to him being terminated by AEW.
1 second, I'll be right back. I'm going to put on a light in here. It's
All
getting
right.
um. So he had an altercation with them. Um. Well, whatever. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
All I can say is that CM Punk gave a really good speech, and Rey Mysterio showed up, and Rob Van Dam, and all these people, will come out of the woodwork
Hmm.
because a lot of them are together. And in a small con like this, uh, you have access to everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, I found that at other small comic cons that you could really get to know some of the people and celebrities at these things because there's a lot of free time.
Hmm.
Yes. Especially backstage or just hanging out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you guys might have seen that. Who was it? He defeated AJ Styles. Oh, Cowboy Bob Orton won our Legends tournament, which was
Okay.
pretty good because Bob Orton was there too.
Nice.
So that went over with the cauliflower crowd. We're becoming an integrated part of their um, their convention, whatever you want to call it, which is a good thing for everybody because we are both trying to keep the history of wrestling alive.
Hmm.
As you know, we just don't put out games with big names. We try to cover everybody because we don't
Right.
want them to be forgotten. So we've got Yukon Eric, and I could name a bunch of other. Somebody brought up Tolos the other day. Can't remember why he came up. It was a wrestling news story of some kind about Chris Tolos, and we have them in the game too. I think the Tolos brothers. Um, but anyway, now as an integrated part of and this also is for the Tragos Thez Hall of Fame. These people like to work with us since we have the same goals. Really helps us get signings that way.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was yeah. So Orton won that tournament. That was funny because the CAC has a yearly cribbage tournament. I've never played cribbage, so it doesn't really mean anything. That is a huge part of their history at this thing. Well, Bob Orton won that too. So Bob Orton was walking away with all the prizes at this convention here.
It's hilarious.
You know who else is a lot of fun to be with is Bruiser Brody's wife, Barbara Goodish.
Hmm.
I've heard that.
Oh gosh, she's like the popular person everybody wants to be around. She's just so charming and real. And I remember in 2015, I went to my first reunion, and it was so cool. It was my first, and so nobody really knew me. And I was walking around on the early Monday morning, which is essentially the first day, and I run into her and Bruiser Brody's sister. Now I didn't know that at the time because they're friends,
Hmm.
Barbara, and so we sat down, and she said she's Bruiser Brody's, former wife, and I thought, wow, um, I'm having quality time with this person, and we are having a great time together. But I know it's not going to last. As soon as other people here realize that Bruiser Brody's wife is here, she's going to be swamped. So I managed to get like 1 or 2 full days of just hanging out with them, which was a real treat because, like I said, she's a super person and full of positive energy.
Hmm.
So those are the kind of fun things that happen at this. And, in fact, this time too, she came, we hung out in the hotel room and just told stories. She told Bruiser Brody stories. She lives for keeping his memory alive.
That's awesome.
I'm just looking at some of your pictures here from the
Hmm.
the con.
Hmm.
There were some guys look like they just had a match.
There's your winners. And the guy who had Cowboy Bob Orton, when we took a picture together with the guy who lost with AJ Styles, he had to hold his card higher because that meant he won. He took it real seriously. Both of them did.
Nice.
It's funny to watch people play this game and get real intense about it. And you know how it can drive you nuts then. You
Hmm.
pin a guy that pins 2 to 8, you roll 9, and it's, oh my God. Uh, and
Yeah.
that happened. Or how about the opposite? The pins 2 to 3, you roll snake eyes. That's the game.
Hmm.
Then
And
you met these two fellows here.
oh yeah, the great helpers of mine, Zeke and oh boy, now I'm having a problem with Mike. No, was it Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my.
Michael
Yeah,
Barada and
you
Zeke.
know, Michael and I got to know each other when he's a fan, but he contacted me several months ago. He's a teacher, college, and he said, based on my background, can you be a guest, not on a podcast or something, but in my classroom to talk about the psychology of creativity? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. And we've done it twice. And
Nice.
I
And
love it.
and
I'd like to
you
make more of that.
you do owe Mike a prize.
Mike Brada,
Yep.
what prize?
There was a costume contest,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
he was Crockett.
Michael Barada dressed as Kraken, and
Yeah.
Pete Beck dressed as you.
I remember. Yeah.
And
You
you're
know,
like, "I'm going to give
that
you both your prizes. Whoever
Brett,
receives
yeah,
your prizes."
Bretta's was really good. You know,
It
Oh
that was
was.
yeah.
rocking. Yeah. Yeah, so let's see. I guess those would be some of the highlights that I can think of off the top of my head.
Nice. Always good to get the game out there with that community as much as you can.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
And
funny
it,
because
like I said,
I know
what?
multiple people that go down, even from Canada, and I
Oh
always
yeah,
look to see if I can. And a couple times, a friend of mine, Jim Conley, who's a ref, he's taking pictures, and then one of the pictures I saw Chad in the background. This is a couple
Chad.
of years ago, and I'm like, "Hey,
Yeah, you know they had a big Canadian contingency this year. I
they always
forgot.
do."
Well, bigger than usual because they had some Canadian wrestler receiving an award, and so they had their biggest ever Canadian group, and they do the Canadian national anthem and the American national anthem at this.
I know there's like 14 of them that go down that I know.
Yeah, no, it was bigger, and like I said, there was a Canadian that received an honor. I just can't remember who it was.
Interesting, but hey, it's one thing
Oh,
I want to
it,
hit up at some point. I want to
what's
go
that?
to
Oh,
one.
yeah, yeah. Please, I think you'd find the access to people to be, enjoyable. You could have a lot of conversations. Um, I was going to say something about that. Now I forgot. Oh, you should have seen the acceptance speech by the Nasty Boys. Brian Knobs just went off, just the way you'd expect. Uh, a profanity laden stream of consciousness. And the other guy was playing the straight man for him.
I think he's more like that. I was at a convention, and I was talking to Greg Valentine, and this was just after Cleveland, when Wiggy in his podcast had asked him, "Hey, what do you think of women's wrestling?" And he's like, "Oh, they should, never got
Yeah.
into it." And he's just carving them up, and he
Yeah.
took a big backlash about that.
He did.
Oh, yeah.
And I went up to him. I'm like, "So, Greg, do you know how podcasts work?" I'm like, "People hear them and listen to them." He's like, "I had no idea."
Well, that's
But
great for you. Yeah.
he's
And you could
talking,
always play it like I'm the heel. I was just playing
yeah.
the heel.
But it's yeah, the brown haired guy who's that? That's no,
Jerry Sags.
Sags. So he pulls Greg. He's like, "Hey, Greg, can I talk to you for a minute?" Pulls him aside, and he basically thanks Greg for getting them into the WWF.
Is that right? Well, they have a mixed relationship or a complicated one because I think they're brother-in-laws,
Yeah,
you know, and yet it Greg Valentine did not show up for he lives in Las Vegas but didn't go last year either, so apparently it doesn't really matter to him to see these people, and but that's his brother-in-law that was being honored.
yeah,
So
but it was neat because I didn't, I don't even know if I was supposed to hear that conversation. But he's going on and he's thanking him about, sticking his neck out, because I guess Greg went to Vince to convince him, "Hey, give these
that's
guys a
cool.
try," because they came right from the AWA, so people didn't know, and so he, it was Greg was the reason they got into the WWF.
That's amazing. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Something has cooled between them because the speech by the Nasty Boys made it pretty clear they weren't really happy with him.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Wrestlers,
It's a work.
you never know. You never know.
It's true. You never do know,
It's
which is
always
what's
work.
great about it.
Yeah,
I think everything's worked a little bit.
probably because they've learned that works. And
Hmm.
I don't know if they know how to stop. I remember when Ox Baker did he actually show up to one of our cons? I can't remember.
Ours?
Yeah,
No.
Galacticon. Oh, that's interesting because maybe he was thinking about it And he
He
said,
might have been at it like if you were at like a Novi con and he was at a booth down
no,
like with
no, I mean I must have asked him if he could go to Galacticon. I guess he couldn't, but he's, but we were, in discussions about it. He said, I got an idea too. When we're together at your con, let's pretend like we're having an argument. See, he's already doing that there. He wanted to cause controversy at Galacticon. And he said, and he was like, and I thought, well, he never showed up, so it didn't, or we never actually finalized it. But I thought that was interesting that he was willing to do a work at this, Champions of the Galaxy convention.
When I threw out a pitch at for the Jamestown Jammers,
Yeah.
one of the players wanted to do a bit with me on the field, where I attack him and and I'm like, no.
Wow. Wow. That's a funny idea.
But because I guess he was a wrestling fan and he wanted hey, it was the catcher for the Jammers. He's like, when I come out and hand you the ball, throwing it, smack me in the face, and I can get the guy, tell him, and I'm like, no.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that was funny. God, we have such an awesome history. Our fan base that's now lasted 30 some years at least, something like that.
It's coming up on 40.
And isn't it something? So we've lived a life together. Really, when that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very happy that we have so many interesting stories like Mike just told.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
And many more to write.
Yeah, Mike, though, that was a fun time in Novi when you came to my relative's house.
Yeah, I came to I roomed with your one brother.
Neil or Paul?
The one always wearing the leather jacket with the dark goatee.
That would be
shorter. Neil. Roomed with him. And then I went to Leslie's family reunion. Because afterwards you were like, I've never seen anybody just show up where there's 40 people, you don't know any of them. And he goes, by the end, they're all just listening to you,
Yeah, no, that's true. You're a good storyteller. And but it was amazing, they were really enthralled by all, and they weren't even wrestling fans.
It's how to tell a story to relate to who you're listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it was just funny. But at that same convention, because we went to the after party the one time, and I remember because there was a big cheese and meat tray just at a table, and I just pulled a chair up and sat there, and I'm just eating meat and cheese. And this guy comes over and he goes, "Oh, you got the idea." He goes, "You mind if I join you?" And I didn't even look, who it was, and he sits down, and it's Tom Savini.
Oh yeah. Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he is.
But we sat together for like 2 hours, just eating an ungodly amount of meat and cheese, and just talking everything under the sun.
He was a fixture on the convention circuit.
Yeah,
he may still be. I don't know.
He is. He's a local guy to me. So he always has our loops.
Wow.
He's a Pittsburgh guy.
But that's the one thing I remember about doing an after party at one of the shows, just sitting there eating an ungodly amount of meat and cheese and crackers with Tom Savini while drinking.
Right.
Just funny.
Oh, definitely. Those are the moments that if you can have them at a con are the memorable ones for sure.
Yep.
Fun stuff.
We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah. This is a fun conversation. Thanks, Tom, again. Appreciate you going down memory lane with us.
Let me just quickly add that I think I'll have more recollection of 2098 because it was a new artist, and I just have a feeling we'll find out if we do this again.
Oh, we will. We've got 40 more to do.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Okay.
It's going to force Mike and I to catch up when we get current with things. We'll start speed playing. So.
Yeah. Well, sorry I interrupted.
Oh, no worries. Thanks again. We appreciate you. We'll have you back in a few months when we wrap up the next set. While you're all here, please check out the links below to all of our friends who make Filsinger Games related content, including the official Filsinger Games podcast Roll Up, the Legends team's Uncharted Territory, Dizzy Dice from Lee Longpree, the Filsinger Games Fancast from Grant. Here on YouTube, you'll find Dave Little's Heartland Championship Wrestling. Brad Plays 81 plays a couple different feds live on YouTube. You'll have to see After Further Review, Solo Promoter, also from Grant. And on Twitch, you'll find me. I stream Champions of the Galaxy Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Check it out sometime. And yeah, that's about it. If you've had anything you'd like to add to our description below, please let one of us know. And we'd be happy to include it. Because we got to get the word out there, because the more people that have fun with this game, the more fun we can all have together.
Yeah, that's well said.
Thank you. All right, guys, that's all I've got. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you, Brock and Mike, and look forward to it.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Yeah, have a good night, everyone.
Later.